Hey you guys, so as you know, I'm not huge on social media. I don't know what my issue is, but it's a little frustrating. But the last year and a half or so, I've been more active, and I gotta tell you, some of the things I see, I just hope people do their own due diligence, and especially when it comes to metaphysics, astrology. There is no one size fits all. We're all very unique. We all have a very unique natal blueprint. We all have a very unique physical genetic code, right? These things can't be, thrown into a basket and one size fits all. So what I thought I would do for this week's exclusive YouTube, right? Because I'm trying to do this content for you guys. I did an article on Substack talking about the eclipses. I actually have this amazing eclipse service going in the month of August. And I thought, I keep seeing the same TikTokers and Instagrammers saying the same thing. And I thought, well, maybe I'll jump on and give my take here. And I'm going to share some charts on screen too. I want to give you some documents that you can work with. So, and let me follow my notes so I don't get confused. A lot of people are talking about how these eclipses are this huge beginning, right? But beginnings come after an ending. I actually peg these as endings. It's clearing out room for beginnings. So I guess it is kind of a beginning, but what a lot of people are going to experience is an ending of some sort, a clearing of some sort, a cleansing of some sort, right? To make room for this new energy, this new beginning. Um, I want to show you kind of how you can look at your own natal blueprint and get the flavor of what that's going to look like for you, because there is no one size fits all. We are all very, very different. We are influenced by the stars and the universe in very different ways. And so when we see a lot of this content, which is this one size fits all content, it can be very concerning because that's just not the reality of how this all works. So in astrology, planetary influence is an important part of spell casting, spell crafting. Yeah, there's workarounds with fixed magic, but you need to understand the fundamental energetic sourcing and how it affects you as an individual before you can really utilize those tools. And that's not going to come in a one size fits all TikTok. So anyway, what I want to do is I want to show you how to look at your chart by showing you the eclipse charts and some other information, so that you can kind of take a peek here and see what might be ending. Now, if you can remember, if you're old enough, or have a good enough memory, back to August 1st of 2008. This is Saros. It is the same family of energy when we talk about eclipses. So back on August 1st, 2008, probably mid-July to mid-August of 2008, there probably was an ending of some sort going on if you are affected by this planetary or universal energy. Not everybody is. Sometimes it's just a little bit of a background noise. Not everybody is affected. That's the reality too. Depending on your natal blueprint, this may be nothing. Okay. So, anyways, eclipses usually aren't like asking what you're ready to become, right? They're kind of asking like what you're still performing in your life that doesn't work anymore. So, I mean, one of the best ways to think about that is, I don't know, like, have you ever looked at a photo of yourself and you just didn't recognize yourself in the photo? Or have you ever been talking to somebody about your own life and you're just kind of like, it sounds rehearsed? You know what I mean? Like, have you ever like just felt kind of allergic to your own presentation? That's eclipse activity, right? That is saying, hey, this is part of you that doesn't really serve a purpose anymore. Let's get rid of it. Let's shed it. We got to make room. Um, so yeah, so let's take a look at that. So I want to first pull up the 2026 eclipse that's happening here. Let's pull this up next month. Let's start there. Oh boy, I'm in the way. Hang on. All right. Okay. So as most of you guys know that follow me on other channels, I use solar fire. I just find solar fire to be like probably Out of all the programs I've used, the most accurate when it comes to the math involved with, astrodynamics. Astrodiagnostics is very important to me, and so the math is very important. So if we look at this year's eclipse that's coming very, very quickly here, here's our sun and moon right here, seventh house. We see the placements and we can look around them and we can kind of see there's a lot of trans-Neptunian stuff going on here more than anything else. Now, I want to compare this to what happened the last time we experienced the Saros. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say Saros, I just published an article on my Substack. It's a very tech article, but go and read that article. So I don't want to spend too much time going through that here. I really wanted to show you guys how to look at your chart more than anything else to see how it's going to affect you or not. But here in 2026, we see our moon and sun eclipse placement and where it lands, and we see the trans-Neptunian stuff going on around it. Now let's look at 2008, because this is the exact same aspect revisiting us, but it's revisiting us in a very, very different way. So here's our 2008, our sun and moon. And again, we have some trans-Neptunian stuff coming here, but it's very much a different flavor. That's why I wanted to show you both charts. These are very different flavors, very different flavors. However, you still have the eclipse identifying endings that come with this energy, but the endings take different shapes, forms, methods, routes, behaviors. And so that's why we have to look at what's going on around it. Okay, so that was the first thing I wanted to show you, how you compare. Look at your natal blueprint, pull up your chart for this month. It's the first, so for the 12th of this month and for the 1st of August 2008. Look at your chart side by side. Do a bi-wheel. I'll show you what a bi-wheel looks like here. Here's my bi-wheel of 2008 and 2026, the eclipses. And I like to look at bi-wheels to see what is different, right? Because that's where the rubber meets the road, is what is different. What is the flavor? The flavor is always going to be different. So do a bi-wheel of your own natal blueprint, right? Take your natal, take a look at it for August 12th, take a look at it for back on August 1st, 2008. If you have good memory, if you remember what was going on at that time, maybe jot some notes that might be getting revisited. Anyways, tools. So let's move on. Okay, so let's move on. I get carried away. This isn't even in my notes. See, you guys, I start talking and I start pulling up shit on the screen. Okay, so go check your chart. What I want you to look for, I wish I could put this on screen, but it's on a different computer. Damn it. One day, you guys, I will be very good at doing this. Just maybe not today. All right, look at your chart. I want you to look for anything in your natal. This is for this month, the 2026 eclipse that's coming. Look for your sun, moon, rising, or any planet that is sitting around 20 degrees of Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio. Okay, look for that, 2026. Now, close counts too here, you guys. If it's within a couple of degrees, either way, it counts. Now, if your rising sign or your midheaven, that counts as double. Okay, that counts as double because you're going to feel this energy a lot harder, I shouldn't say harder, that's the bad term to use, a lot more intensely than most. So if your rising sign or midheaven are there, pay attention. You need this information because this eclipse isn't going to be background noise for you like it is for a lot of people. It's going to be speaking directly to you. How, in plain language, really, how does this affect you if you are falling within that 20-degree spectrum? So for Leo and Aquarius, I'm an Aquarian sun and a Leo rising, just as an FYI. And I'm 28 degrees, I think, when I was pulling up my natal math. Anyway, the point is, this eclipse is about how you show up and how you get seen. So how I reflect that on me as an Aquarian sun, as a Leo rising, I've already seen, and this probably started some time ago, but it's really heightening now, how I'm showing up a little bit differently in my practice. I'm in the process of getting published. I think I'm getting seen a little bit more differently because now I'm being asked to do events, and so I can kind of see where this Aquarian Leo flavor with this eclipse is kind of highlighting what my identity is in this industry, or changing what my identity is in this industry. So I have to ask myself, well, what might it be ending to now create this space for authorship or for speakership. You know, if I'm going to be speaking and writing more than what I'm kind of doing now, which is the service end of everything, what's going to die? Because I certainly don't want my service to die, right? But I don't think it will. I mean, that would never happen. Not gonna. Um, but maybe there's some relationships in my life that are taking up space that need to end to make room for this, to make energy for this, because I have some relationships under fire right now. It is seventh house too, so that would make sense, right? All right, for those of you with Taurus and Scorpio, it's about what you're holding on to that you need to let go of. Really plain and simple. Especially you damn Scorpios. Come on, man. Come on. Let this shit go. Like, seriously. Those two signs, Scorpio and Taurus. My father's a Taurus sun, and I've dated Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon men. And they will hold on to shit that makes no sense. It's exhausting to hold on to some of the shit you guys hold on to. So I think that this eclipse really is going to have you releasing some shit you're holding on to that serves no purpose. And so it's really benefiting you more than anything else. It's going to take out the garbage. Let it take out the garbage. Come on, stop resisting. All right, so moving on. I'm this is supposed to be a short video. I don't even know how far we are into it. Anyway, the point is how this one is going to hit different. And let me pull up another chart. So let me share my screen with you again. All right, so oh, and I didn't do a side by side here. Damn it. Let's look at 2008. So if you are, and we're going to be getting into some magic here in a minute, because this is a beautiful time to do fixed star talismanic work, and it can be energetic talismanic work. So the service I'm running for the month of August is energetic talismanic work. It doesn't have to, you don't have to go out and get special metals and start melting down metals and getting gemstones. You don't necessarily have to do that. What you should do, and again, I'm giving you a comparison here of the 2008 star magic placements, right? You need to know what these are if you are a spellcaster, if you are a witch, whatever you want to call yourself, whatever you identify yourself as, a practitioner. I identify as an omnistic polytheistic practitioner. It is important going into these eclipses to know the star coordinates for magic. I use the Brady system. Use whatever system works for you, but this is 2008, and I compare it to what we're going into in this month, 2026. You want to know what is doing what where, so that if you are going to complete magic, if you are going to help facilitate an ending or a beginning, if you're going to be helping clients who might be Aquarian, Leo, Taurus, or Scorpio, dealing with change, evolution can be hard. Even if it's taking us to a beautiful place, it can be hard. You need to know what the stars are doing. If you want to use them for magic, you need to, for sure. This is a beautiful window to do it, but know the placement. So here's a map or a coordinate list. You guys can screenshot this if you need to. Again, I use Solar Fire. It is the best mathematical engine when it comes to astrology for magic. And again, I like the Brady system. It's worked very well for me, but those are there. Let me show you. Wait, I'm not done. I got to share more. Damn it. You guys, why do I do this to myself? Okay. Right. We're not done. So I want to show you actually some very interesting things here. Can I only really pull one up at a time? That sucks. Now there are two fixed stars in particular, and we don't see me anymore. Damn it. Let's try it this time. Hang on, you guys. There I am. Okay, there's two fixed stars in particular before I get into the nitty-gritty of some other stuff here that are important this August, especially if you are a practitioner, if you are working with clients on any level, any intent, you are probably incorporating or harnessing energy from these two fixed stars. So we need to talk about what these mean, because I'm kind of giving you a general overtone here of, okay, Leo and Aquarius, it's how you show up. It's how you're seen. It's how you get seen. Taurus and Scorpio, it's letting go of what you've been holding on to. But there's much more than that, especially if we look at collectively, because those energies, those tides affect our personal path, our personal trajectory. So I don't expect you guys to be able to pronounce all this shit, but the first one is one of the Zubins. Okay, so this is a fixed star being activated by the eclipse. There's two of them specifically this year. Well, this month in a couple of weeks. Well, they actually already are activated, but full activation we're about 11 days off from. Um, this one is all about the negative aspects of social reform, right? So it's a northern scale of Libra. Its shadow companion is the other Zubin. There's two Zubins that we work with, right? Now, both of these stars are involved with social reform, okay? But this one in particular is more involved with reform for its own ends. It's very selfish. It's very self-serving. So how is this expressed? It expressed as change or reform without consultation, without permission, without finding out by doing your due diligence. You know, it could be someone who doesn't really give a shit about the needs of other people. It's a very self-serving aspect. So it's something important that you need to know about because you can harness and transmute this, right? You can transmute this into something beautiful, but you need to understand what you're harnessing during this activation period. And I don't want to get political here, but you know, you know, moving on. The other one that we're dealing with is our Alpha Delphinius, if I pronounce that correctly. I don't work with this too often, but it's the star of the dolphin, right? This is a constellation that's been known as the dolphin or sacred fish for thousands of years. And even by Christian time, it had become like that symbol of the fish, you know, in Christianity. But this star seems to be kind of like it's like a shy person, like a character that's kind of tantalizing. It's like that individual that's kind of tempting, like you want to know more, but there's a shyness there. It's kind of like a tease, right? So there's kind of like this naive energy present, while at the same time, there's like this overconfidence. So why am I telling you all this? Because if you're doing magic, if you're casting spells, if you're doing astrodiagnostic work, these are being activated together at the same time right now. And you need to understand how that translates into energy. Because if you are manipulating energy or transmuting energy right now, you're pulling this in whether you're wanting to or not. It's not like an option. Like you don't get to, you know, people are very, again, the TikToks and Instagrammers, when you're working with energy, there are rules in the field of quantum mechanics. And, you know, like none of us can bypass some of those rules, no matter what our lineage transmission is or how good we think we are, we have to play by the rules. And so these are rules set by fixed stars that are being activated that we have to play by right now in order to manifest properly. Anyway, I went on a tangent again, damn it. All right. So, you know, I do this with my Patreon people too. I start these videos and I'm like just going down a road, whatever. Just if you're still here, thank you because I'm ridiculous. So, like I said, this exact eclipse pattern has happened before. Actually, I think it started, well, it happens every 18 years. So the last one was 2008. I actually had a calendar here. I don't know what I did with it. I probably deleted it. I think it started like in 1172 or something crazy like that. And I think it only has two life cycles left, this one and the next life cycle, and then it's done. Anyway, the point is, in 2008, this pattern came through very quiet. And now this time in 2026, it's very loud. It'll be very loud, the next one as well, because it's the last one. So how to make loud understandable. What do I mean when I say the word loud? So obviously the rest of the sky has completely changed since 2008. Different planets, different conditions, but it's the same core question. What doesn't serve us? What do we need to make space for? The stars sitting at the eclipse degrees back in 2008 were basically silent. That's why I was showing you the biwheel and the separate charts. But this time we have the two that I just talked to you about, the two fixed stars that are sitting almost exactly on top of it. So that energy flows through. That's why we need to know what those things connect to energetically, because it's flowing through, it's amplifying everything. So it's not the same event repeating at all, but it is the same question that's showing up in a much louder room. So you need to be prepared to answer it, right? Awareness is preparedness, planning. It's all about the planning. Okay, so what those two stars that I just talked about kind of mean for you. And I did do like, I should have saved this so I could have put it on screen, but I didn't because I wasn't thinking far enough ahead. But go back to your natal. I want you to look at your natal blueprint, your natal chart. So if you land closer to Scorpio or Aquarius, you are falling with that first Zubin I talked about, right? This is reform that nobody asked for. This is a star. It doesn't want you to negotiate the change, right? It wants you to make it. Whether or not people are signing off on it or not, it doesn't matter. A lot of times it will pull up things that we've been soft on, or a decision that we've been putting off because we're trying to get things done first. This energy, when it comes through, when it's activated fully in 11 days, it doesn't care about your list, doesn't give a shit about what you wanted to do before X, Y, and Z. It wants the change made now. So you can work with that, right? You can definitely work with that. Personal effort and spell casting together. Now, if you fall into that second star that I talked about, the dolphin, right? Um, that one's the tease, right? It's that shy aspect. It's the person who sort of plays a little more than, I don't know, they play like they're something that they're not. And I don't know how to really phrase that. Or they play like they're more certain or confident about something than they really are, or the way that they actually feel. So this eclipse, for the people that are falling into that second fixed star realm, this is really asking you to drop performance, right? It not because it's bad or anything like that, but because it's not you anymore. Um, and it's time to get real about some things, right? About showing who you really are. So in either situation, whether you fall into the star one group or the star two group, the first Zubin or the alpha dolphin, whatever you want to call it, this eclipse, it isn't asking your permission first. It's just going to start activating shit. So if you know what it's going to be activating by looking at your blueprint, you can prepare. You can start working with that energy to make it favorable. Some of you, it's just background noise, or really nothing at all. It's just a blip. So things that you can actually do. This is kind of like an exercise I'll give you. It's a very simple release exercise. It's about taking something out. You're not really calling something in with this exercise, but you're making room. So I would write down, like, in one sentence, like the specific behavior or specific performance part of your life, your identity, that you're done with. Okay. You need to get away from it. It's like looking at that photo and not recognizing yourself. I don't want you to write down something like my ego. That's so wide range. It needs to be specific, something concrete. Take your time. If it needs to be a paragraph, it needs to be a paragraph. Then I want you to light a candle. Light a candle. Doesn't need to be a special color or smell or whatever. It's just fire. Get some fire going. Okay. Fire is sacred. Light a candle. I want you to read this sentence out loud at least once, maybe twice, maybe three times, however many times you need to read it to really embody it and to release this shit. And then burn it. Use that fire to burn that list or that letter up, that sentence up, that paragraph up, burn it up. You don't got to go crazy and, bury the ashes under an oak tree in the full moon. Okay, just put it in the garbage. Okay, you've completed the identifying ritual of what you are releasing, and you have used sacred fire to help activate that release process that you're beginning, that you're starting, to make room for something new. Now, on August 20th, or right around August 20th, I would have you revisit that, write down what's shifted since today. So say you do it today, it's the first. About 3 weeks from now, has anything shifted in these last 3 weeks? If it's only been 2 weeks, 2 weeks. If only been 1 week, 1 week. Write down anything that you felt that's shifted since you did that initial sentence burning, right? A lot of times during these eclipse activations, these windows of energy that we tap into, that we manipulate, that we transmute, and that manipulate and transmute us as vessels, if we're not, understanding what we're doing, doesn't really happen on eclipse day. It starts happening before and after eclipses. Yes, the strongest activation is then, but a lot of times seeds are already sown. whatever's going to be harvested is going to be harvested. And there's just that amplification period where we're actually, you know, things become tangible. You know, we can touch them, smell them, feel them, taste them. So, and here's the thing, if you're not sure like what you're cutting out yet, what you're releasing, then don't cut or release anything. Just sit with that question for as long as you need. You know, try to figure it out. You know, there's always something, right? I mean, obviously there's always something. But yeah, I mean, tell me in the comments, you know, where is your degree at with this eclipse? I don't need to know what you think it means just yet, but look at your chart and what did you find? You know, where are you falling? How is it affecting you? What is the degree and angle that you are in your natal blueprint being activated by this eclipse, if at all? Maybe it's not activating you at all. So that was my rant for today. I'm only doing this rant on YouTube. Lucky YouTube. If you want to read more about this eclipse, I did do an article on my Substack. There's some techie information in there, but it's good information. It talks about this Saros activity. So definitely check that out. Other than that, you guys stay magical and enjoy the eclipse. Have a fun ride.